Before the video begins, I want to remind you that I am Italian, so I may mispronounce some words. I will do my best though. If you were alive on Earth in 2006, you certainly remember the Wii, the console your friend had and you always wanted to play with. Now, we all know Nintendo has pretty high prices, right? But in many years from the Wii release, some games has become rare to find, and they acquired a certain value. So get ready to spend everything you have in the bank if you want these games. Let's begin with the 10th chapter of the Fire Emblem saga, Radiant's Dawn. On Amazon is $229, and on eBay, if you search for new, you can get it for $400. And if you search for a used one, it can be yours for $125. It's just a game though, no special edition or art book included. I'm not a fan of RPG games and turn-based battles usually. I tried watching some videos to understand something. The plot is divided in 4 parts, where you play as Mikaya, a maid with silver hair. The game is basically about war, colonization and rebellion. In the first part, the main character have to free her nation from oppression. The 2 chapters in the middle focus on internal and external conflicts between various nations. The final part brings all the factions together to confront a great threat, the goddess Asherah, who seeks to judge and potentially destroy all humanity. The game has the concept of permadeath, which I find interesting because if a character dies in the story, it will not respawn and won't participate in the story anymore. This will not only affect the plot and dialogues, but also the strategy when you fight, and makes each decision in battle more meaningful. The permadeath adds a significant replayability and encourages players to try different strategies to keep all their characters alive. This is Legend of Sayuki, released in 2007. This game is the European version of Evelyn Guardian, which is pretty cheap, but I don't know why with this version the price is way higher. I found this site that shows the price fluctuation, and between October and November 2021, the game went from $120 to $375. Must be very rare. There are some cheaper copies for less, but they aren't in English. So unless you speak fluent Italian or Spanish, get ready to spend $825. On eBay, there are some pricey copies too. The game is a 2D multi-scrolling shoot-'em-up. You play as Sayuki, as Snow Goddess. Your job is to save a boy from a curse that has put him into a deep sleep, pretty much the Sleeping Beauty, but gender swapped. She is accompanied by her pet, Toto, a snow rabbit. He acts like a sort of target. You can control him and choose different shooting directions. While you navigate through levels, you use the Wii remote and nunchuck for shooting. I checked out some gameplays because I had no intention to play so much for a game, and it's reminiscent of classic arcade shooters. The first boss is so cool, it's a skeleton with half of his body moving towards you. He uses his hands to attack you and you have to shoot the rest of the body. Remind me of the Elden Ring giant skeleton on the mountains. Dokapon Kingdom is particularly expensive for several reasons. The first is the limited print copy numbers of the game, published by company Atlus. This scarcity made it a rare found. The game has also a unique gameplay that combines elements of a board game with the ones from RPGs. Over time, the demand for this piece has increased, especially among collectors and fans of the genre. Also, various streamers and YouTubers played this game, increasing its popularity. While there are more human prices for this game, the sealed and graded version can cost almost $3,000, making this the most expensive game in the video. When searching for additional information, I found this old review of the game made in 2008 by this YouTuber. He describes the game as a mix between Lunar 2 and Mario Party. There are also classes you can choose from: Magician, Warrior and Thief. I really like the aesthetic of the game, with bright colors and cartoonish art style. It's very charming. The map is basically all green land and a bit of snow. Like in Mario Party, you move spinning a wheel with numbers on it, and you can play up to 4 players. Your goal is fight the monsters that invaded Dokapon Kingdom because the king told you so, offering the throne and his daughter hand in marriage. The game also encourages players to betray each other to get ahead, leading to some hilarious and dramatic moments, and a lot of destroyed friendship probably. So with the combination of strategic gameplay, charming graphics, battles and funny dialogues, the game truly offers a memorable gaming experience, making it a standout title in this list. This is a 2005 game, released for PlayStation 2 and 1 year later for the Wii. It's the 5th chapter in the Sakura Wars saga. Sakura Wars begins in 1996 with the first game, published for Sega Saturn. It's a unique blend of tactical role gameplay, dating sim, and visual novel elements. I searched the other games, but they seemed to be cheaper than this one, which has become quite pricey because rarity, fan base appeal, condition, and popularity over time. As a game that was released almost 20 years ago, it has become a collector item. Also, Sakura Wars has a dedicated fan base, especially among those who enjoy tactical RPGs. The Wii has a strong nostalgic value for many gamers. A special title like this one often see an increased demand. The price is often over $100, but it can reach $200 and more for a sealed and complete version on eBay. The game is set in a fictional version of the late 1920s. The story follows a Japanese naval lieutenant, Shinjiro Taiga, sent in New York to train with the New York Combat Review. This group of magical girls has the task of defend the city from supernatural and demonic forces. What makes this game special is the Lips, the live interactive picture system, which allows players to interact with characters in a way that influences the story direction. This system is integrated in the dating sim part of the game. You can interact with various characters. During conversation, you have a limited time to choose your responses, increasing or decreasing your affinity with them. There are also multiple endings depending on your interaction and the relationship you build throughout the game. The characters are well developed and the art style is charming, capturing the essence of the 1920s with a touch of fantasy. The menu and dialogue boxes have steampunk elements. The game blends Japanese and Western cultural elements, creating a unique aesthetic and narrative experience. This fusion is reflected in character design, music and setting. I found out that the franchise expanded beyond video games to include anime adaptation, manga and other medias. This certainly helps Sakura Wars gain popularity and fame. Okay, so this may be the game with the coolest graphics in the video. I noticed a dark atmosphere, with pretty detailed environments and well-designed characters that express the emotional weight of the story. This is Pandora Tower, an action roleplay game where you have to explore different towers and beat bosses in order to save your love, Elena, from a curse that is slowly transforming her into a monster, so you have to manage the time Elena has. These games with a time limitation, like Majora's Mask, went hard in those years, I think. You also have to solve puzzles in the towers and collect monster flesh to heal Helena. But why nowadays this game is so expensive? Well, this game had a relatively small production run, especially in North America, making it a rare found. Over the time though, it acquired a dedicated fan base. Complete in-box version, especially if mint-graded, are particularly valuable. Prices can change significantly based on the condition if the content of the box is complete. Pandora's Tower was a part of the Operation Rainfall, a fan-driven campaign launched in 2011. With the goal of convincing Nintendo to bring 3 Japanese RPGs to the North American market. Fans used social medias, letters and petitions to gain support, and shows that there was interest in these games even out of Japan. I have to say, this is a good example of a solid and positive fan base. When fans collaborate together like this, they can make a substantial difference in a video game story. The campaign was successful, and this game was released in North America too, along with Xenoblade Chronicles and The Lost Story for Wii. This game is the last chapter in this video, because like Pandora's Tower, due to its lack of distribution out of Japan, the game became soon rare to find on the market. This is also a collector item for taking part in that fan-made campaign. It's also a positively acclaimed game for its engaging story, innovative combat system, and character development. You can buy the last story around $130, on Amazon is a bit less, but on eBay, sealed copies with the original game booklets can reach up $160. I found the art style of these two last games really intriguing and typical of that period. With its detailed places and fantasy elements combined with a realistic touch, the last story creates an immersive world. The cutscene and soundtrack enhances the game's atmosphere too. In fact, the game was directed by the original creator of Final Fantasy. Speaking of graphics, look at the game menu. Doesn't it remind you of those old Windows themes? Maybe I'm tripping. In the game, you play as Xyle, a mercenary with the dream of becoming a knight. His adventures involve going through the political and military struggles on Lazuli's island, fighting against beast-like creatures, discovering his powers, and protecting his allies with those. Xyle also encounters Lady Callista, a noble woman who finds in him mutual support. She has powers too, she can heal others, and she is a princess, making her a crucial character in the story. The game is still recognized today for its engaging combat system, strong character development, and emotional storytelling. Another Wii expensive game I found is Fragile Dreams. This game has cool aesthetic. The price peaked in July 2021 and now is stabilized at $19. Okay, this one is strange because the price gone from $3 in 2017 to $300 in 2022. From the base price of $40 at the day one, you can find it now for $100, more than double the original price. The price of this rhythm game increased starting from 2021 and now is around $140. I think after these other games, it's also important to mention this gaming milestone. Recently, Metroid Prime 4 was announced and will be released in 2025. But now let's go back a bit, in 2009, when the trilogy of the three previous games was released. The Wii and Nunchuk remotes were introduced in Metroid Prime 3. In this trilogy, the first two games were updated to be played with them. Nintendo also added the widescreen format, with improved textures and faster load times. The game was released in North America, Europe and Australia. It was well received for its value and updated game experience. In fact, the price increased with time and now you can find it for a minimum of $90 to a maximum of $475. And the steelbook only can cost $40 alone. This trilogy is for sure a must-have for Metroid fans, so if you have like $200 left somewhere, you know to spend them. In conclusion, these games from the Wii era were for sure a part of our childhoods, when things used to cost less than now, maybe also because our parents were the ones who bought the game for us. But now, having a physical copy of some game from 2005 is like owning a little personal treasure that can be valued $500 or $1,000. My favorite games of this list are for sure Pandora's Tower, with its dark fantasy atmosphere, and Dokapon Kingdom, a simple party game that can turn a boring afternoon into a funny one. There are other games I didn't list that, but it's because they are graded or have some weird traces of hardware, like the Cyberbike, or a microphone from the Spanish game, not to mention Guitar Hero or the steering wheel from Mario Kart Wii. So of course they're gonna cost more. I tried to keep talking about the base version of the game. To be honest, while I was looking, I expected to find even higher prices, like the game from other consoles. But even these are certainly not low. I hope you found this video interesting, and let me know what you think. See you next time!